Howdy, howdy, howdy. It's Monday of week 5 or week 6. I don't really know. I have to look. I don't remember. But we had a 2,700 yard swim. Just focused on drills, technique. My pace was like 150 per 100 yard or whatever, but wasn't a concern. The concern was technique and focusing on that. Whenever I get notifications, so like I get notifications, they come on the lock screen, but then if like I open my lock screen and you close it, they go away. But then if you scroll up, like you'll see them there. My OCD, like I have to clear that. I have to, like a notification I'll see pop up on my phone and I'm like, oh, clear it. Like I have to clear it. Or if it's like that old notification center is filled with shit, I have to clear it. And then it's like if I'm sitting here now, and that's why I did it while I'm filming this video, and then totally got off topic. Whatever. We had 2,700 yards swim. Very much focused on drills again. Wasn't worried about the pace. Trying to not... I don't really feel like... I mean, unless you're really good at something, it's like when you're starting out and trying to build and trying to get better, I don't think that worrying about your pace is anything that needs to be done because it's going to be slow regardless. So why worry about it? Why stress about it? So seeing my pace being slow, whatever. I'm trying to get better. That being said, I was doing some kicking drills. So not fun. But what I did notice when I was doing that is I think I'm not loose with my hips. I think this battery might die. But my hips are not loose. So like I was kind of being more kind of flowy with my hips when I was kicking, and that seemed to help. So I did note that was a big takeaway from today that I noticed, and then just trying to again build on everything that I've been learning. Definitely was tired though. I didn't really have the stamina. I think the longest swim I did was like 300 yards. Or like a longest straight swim I did was 300 yards, but I just didn't have the stamina today after this weekend. Like the 100 miles on the bike and then 16 miles last night, and then I woke up and then I was at the gym when they closed on Sunday night. They closed at 9 p.m. So I was at the gym when they closed and I was there when they opened at 5. A little after 5, but at 5 in the morning. So I was just understandably a little bit, not a lot of stamina in me this morning for that swim. But again, that's fine with the drills because you're not... I mean, to my knowledge, I'm sure there are drills you do for long swims, but in general, what I've seen, they're always like shorter spurts of shit, and that's what I did today. So yeah, I need to. It's 12:30 right now. I'm doing my planner. So like I have a planner I do most days, not every day, but most days, especially the days I'll miss are like during the week when stuff gets busy, and a lot of these days look the same Monday through Friday, so I don't really need to have this. It's just nice if I have the time to do it and kind of get that mental organization. But I'm doing my little planner thing, and then I'm going to do the daily doodle. All right, hello. It is, it's Tuesday, so we have, Tuesday's like the optional brick workout, so we have an hour and a half on the bike, a 7-mile run, and then I have legs today. I'm gonna do it in that order, I think, but I'm not gonna make it a brick workout, so I'm gonna finish the bike. I'll kind of chill for a minute, refuel, and then I'll go for the run. I don't plan to wait like super long, but I'll give it a little bit of time. And then between that, get some work done, and then eat again, eat like an actual meal. And then I'll go to the gym. I have a coaching call at 6. Had one earlier this morning, but another one at 6. I might end up just going to the gym after that, and then eating my last meal later in the night. Not ideal, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. The only reason I say it's not ideal is because I'm just waking up early, but other than that, I don't mind it. So I think that's the plan. Last week's YouTube video was like 2 hours long, so I'm gonna really try not to talk a whole lot. But sweet spot workout, so it's kind of like a threshold, kind of lactate threshold type workout, basically. That's what that means. So you're kind of just holding something that it's uncomfortable, but you can hold it. It's like just below your kind of FTP, functional threshold power, or whatever the fuck. So I guess I'm targeting around 230 watts for this workout. It's sitting at like 236 right now, but I'll go to like 230 to 240s. But I'm trying to stay around 230, 235, whatever. I think that should be good. I'm gonna do 20, I did 10 minutes warm up, so we're 13 minutes in. A 10-minute warm up, and I'll do 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 20 minutes on, and I'll do that for an hour and a half. That'll be the plan for this. I didn't have any fuel to like take during, but before I've had 2 bananas and some dates. So a good little chunk of carbs, and then that should be good. I slept like a rock last night. So this morning, I don't have to go until like my serving job. So this morning it was like, I woke up, I was like, wow. But then I was kind of just listening to my body, and that it was like, it just really wanted to sleep. I don't know. Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? But I was like, I'm just gonna kind of sleep in a little bit. So I did exactly that, and then I feel good. That was like one of the best nights of sleep I feel like I've gotten in a long time. So that was cool. But yeah, so I like days like today because I don't have to go into my serving job. So all I'm doing is my workouts. I have two coaching calls, and then I'll eat and stuff like that. But yeah, days like today are kind of nice. Just do my thing, and I don't have to worry about the serving shit. But yeah, I'm gonna do the 7 miles outside. I'm not gonna go on the treadmill again. Just because 7 miles, it's long, and it'll probably feel long in this heat, but it's not 15, 16 miles long. Literally more than double the distance. So I think it'll be kind of right on that threshold of like just overheating too much, but I think I should be good. And I'm not gonna be like pushing the pace or anything, just an easy run. So yeah, so that's the plan. Refuel, and then all that good stuff. So, all right, I'm gonna shut up now. It's easy to let an hour and a half get away from you, and then you'd be like, oh, hour and a half, that's easy. If you're doing 20 minutes, 3 sets, that's an hour in which you're pushing pretty hard. Not killing hard, but pretty hard in that it's hard. But this is what it fucking takes, man. Alright, so it's been 30 minutes since I got off the bike. I'm not doing a brick workout today. I don't know if I already said that, but Tuesdays are like optional bricks, and honestly, I don't really feel like running off the bike. It's just kind of like meh, and it's not a big deal. I'm still gonna run 7 miles, but it's starting to storm outside. It's raining and it's thundering and stuff, but I mean, you can still see sun kind of in the distance. It's probably gonna pass, but also I kind of like running in the rain. Also, I clipped my toenails between the bike and the run because last thing I want to do is lose another toenail. Not that I really care, but the process of losing it hurts. And then I'm like, if I lose a big toenail, that's gonna hurt so bad. So made sure I clipped them bad boys. And then we're gonna go run 7 miles. Should be pretty nice too, because another thing about the storm is the sun's covered up. It's 92 degrees outside, but I was just out there a minute ago. It's not terrible because of the sun. So that's actually a good thing, as long as I don't get struck by lightning. Monday, I just finished that run. That was good. That was a solid effort. Wasn't hot outside. I mean, it was hot, but it wasn't quite hot outside. It was like 89 degrees, just humid, but sun was hiding away, and it was raining for a lot of the run, so it felt good. I'm all for it. But what I was thinking, I've talked about this before on like social, like Instagram, but my perception of hard work is interesting, or not even interesting. It's just, I have a hard time perceiving like something that's not physical is hard work. So for example, when I worked like throughout high school and even in college, I worked like more blue collar type jobs. I did do lifeguarding. That was like my first job. That's not that's not blue collar, but like working in the cemetery, a couple factory jobs and stuff like that. In my head, like I could leave after a day on one of those jobs and be like, wow, that was hard work. You're doing very laborious stuff. You're doing whatever, like lifting heavy shit all day and stuff like that, working in the heat. I'm like, that was hard work. That was hard work. But then for a more recent example, I can be at my office job, that my most recent job beyond the serving, where I'm saying, this is theoretically like this was a day of hard work, but it was just like a mind fuck because I was always like, this wasn't hard though. Like, sure, like mentally it can be straining staring at a computer, and there's a lot of like rules and regulations in designing, and like you can only do, like you need to know certain things in order to do certain things. So like remembering all that, and then you're doing that all day, your brain feels kind of fried and theoretically like, oh, this is hard work. But in my head, I'm like, this isn't like fulfilling. This doesn't do anything for me. Not that that job's bad, but I'm like, this just doesn't make me feel good. I feel like I can work my hardest, my absolute hardest at this, but I don't get anything out of it. So for me, I get something out of physical activity, physical work, whether that is I just work a blue collar job for the rest of my life. I work in a fucking factory. At least I'd feel like I did some work. But tying this into what I'm doing now, like all this endurance stuff, the gym, the bike, swimming, it feels like I'm doing something. I'm like, all right, that was a hard day's work. You know, you run all these distances and you do all these things. I'm like, hey, hell yeah, that feels good. Good day's work. I'm trying, I'm working hard. I'm doing my thing. If my thing I was pursuing was just on a computer, I just would have a hard time being like, you're working hard, you're doing your best. Like you're putting a lot of effort in. Because even with editing, like I'll edit the Instagram reels and I edit the YouTube videos, and still in my head I'm like, well, is this like hard work? It's more just like time-filling, time-consuming activity that has to get done. But I'm like, this isn't really like hard work. And I like to make them cool, especially with I don't put if I had more time, I'd put more effort into the YouTube videos, but I don't. I just put all the clips together basically and trim the ends a little bit so there's not like dead space. But yeah, I just have a hard time defining hard work as something that's not physical. It's basically all I'm saying. And that's not right or wrong. That's not to say that if you feel differently that that's wrong. That's right, because that's what you believe. So, and that's the beauty of life, you know? Like, my philosophy on life is not going to be the same as yours, nor really should it. And that's the beauty of it, because then everything gets kind of touched. Everything gets maintained. So for some people, they're like, dude, doing what you're doing is like stupid. I would never want to do that. But then they're like, I love accounting. I love accounting. I love numbers and helping people in the financial sense. I'm like, that's amazing. That's great. Because now they're leaning into that and they like doing it. And they're making a lot of money doing it. And they're like, I can continue doing this and helping people out. And so now that thing gets touched. And then the next person's like, I hate accounting, but I want to be a doctor. I love helping people in that sense. So then they lean into that. And then so on and so forth. I think you see what I'm saying. And in my head, that just makes a lot of sense, because then not everybody can do one thing. If every single person in the world was like, I want to be a professional cyclist, well then, I mean, I guess if everyone in the world collectively agreed upon that, maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing. Because then structures would fall apart, like grocery stores and electricity and stuff like that. But if everyone's just riding their bikes all the time, then I guess fuck it. But that's an extreme example, whatever. You get what I'm trying to say though. So like everyone leans into their thing. And honestly, now I'm thinking about it, what is slightly unfortunate, but then you kind of fall out of that. You just lose the motivation and you're not motivated all the time. So you lose the discipline or the desire to keep pushing towards the thing you want. And then maybe you just kind of land in something that's just like more, I don't even want to use the term average because that sounds bad, but just something that's more chill. Like I can just settle and be, I feel like it's mean to say some things, but just to settle for like an average, boring job, which is fine. There's like literally nothing wrong with that. And honestly, there's parts of me that's like, maybe that's just a life I'd live, but I don't want to be alone the rest of my life. Something I've been thinking about too is like, I'm definitely isolating myself in a lot of ways, but it's in pursuit of my goals. Whether that's good or bad, I don't fully know. But my pan's smoking and I'm talking way too long. So hopefully that there was some wisdom or something you could take away within that clip. Tuesday, day 2 of week 6. Week 6 already, if I'm not mistaken. We just wrapped up a 3,500 yard swim, AKA 2 miles. 2 miles, baby. We kept it under an hour. That was my goal. I didn't realize 3,500 yards. I was like, this morning I looked at the workouts. I knew I just was swimming and running, and I was like, all right, another run's 14 miles. I was like, I don't really know how far the swim is. And it was 3,200 meters, and then the conversion to yards, it was 34,999. So 3,500 yards. That's 2 miles, baby. I was like, oh boy, oh baby. But it felt really good. But yeah, goal was to keep it under an hour. It was 59 minutes and 56 seconds, so I just made it, which is awesome. Subtract like maybe over that whole span, like a minute from just like the slow turnarounds, because I don't do the flip turn. I can't do that. I've never tried, but I can't. But just like a slow turnaround. So there's a little excuse there as well. Yeah, that swim felt really good. I did 5 by 100 to start. And then just to kind of get my breathing in that rhythm. Because if I just jumped in and was like, all right, I'm going to swim 500 yards or 1,000 yards, it's just hard. Like for me, my body just has to get used to the like breathing kind of weird rhythm to it all. So 5 by 100 to start. And then I did 500, 500, 500, 4 by 500 yard swims. And then I would take like about a minute or so in between. Those all felt really good because I'm kind of learning to pace myself a little bit better and just, again, not muscling the water. So it's almost like you're not working as hard to move as fast or faster. So I'm learning that as well, which is cool. So as I was doing it, I was like, oh, this is honestly kind of enjoyable. This is like kind of enjoyable because you're in the water's cool. It's the morning, so it's not like super hot yet, but it just feels nice. And you're like, oh, this is nice. And then you're not, and running so abusive, swimming's not really abusive. My shoulders are a little bit tired, but that's it. So it was honestly pretty enjoyable throughout the entire swim. And then I ended with a 200 yard swim, 200 yards, and then 100 yard. And that was 3,500 yards. So yeah, it was pretty solid. And I was talking to the lifeguard afterwards, and I was like, he's a swimmer, and I was like, what's your biggest tip? And he was like, because he'll walk around the pool and just kind of, circle all the lifeguards will. They'll kind of just like circle around the pool because I'm sure they get really bored. So he was probably watching me, and he's probably like, the hell is this kid doing? I was breathing. Well, I breathe every stroke now, which I wasn't always doing, but then that's like, I was like, well, I guess it just kind of feels comfortable. But then he was like, you should try every 3, which is what I was doing at one point. And it's not that I can't hold my breath that long, but I think it's the uncomfortability of it that I need to get more used to. Because one of the things I don't like about breathing every stroke is I feel like it kind of throws your rhythm off. Like you get in a rhythm of like, okay, I'm breathing every stroke, but the actual flow of like the swim itself, I feel like gets thrown off because you're every 2 seconds. When in reality, I don't need to breathe. I don't need to go breathe in, hold my breath, breathe in. Like I don't need to breathe that often, I don't think, unless like if I was doing like some 500 yard or 50 yard sprint type deal, maybe then you would. And even then, maybe you wouldn't. So that's kind of my plan going into Friday's swim, is to try to focus on every 3. And then, yeah, so that's kind of the takeaway there. So right now, though, I'm going to wrap up editing the reel. It's 9:39. I'd like to post the reel before my run, but then I feel like posting the reel right now is too early. So I'm going to wrap up editing it. I need to go number 2 before the run, but we got 14 miles. Yeah. Which isn't, I've just been worried about runs lately because it's so hot. And then I can't run in, it's not that I can't run in the morning, it's just I'm not running in the mornings. So they've been kind of, maybe it's a little bit of stress, but I've just been kind of worried about them because I'm like, it's so gosh darn hot that, and then these long distances, it just totally kicks your ass. And I don't want to be running like 10-minute miles in order to keep my heart rate low. Because once it gets really hot, like you'll run an 8-minute mile and your heart rate's probably like 1,000,000. Not really, but it just compounds in your body just has to work harder to try to cool itself, and then your internal temp gets so high, and then it's not gonna lower until you're done running. So even if you took like a 5-minute break mid-run, like if I find a water fountain and stick my head under it, like yeah, that cools me down for like 2 seconds, but it doesn't last. But nonetheless, we have 14 miles. A weird pain. Well, it's a weird situation because I have a pain in my calf. I don't feel it when I'm biking. I don't feel it when I'm running or swimming. But if I touch the muscle, it's part of the, I think it's the soleus. There's like your calf muscles, like the triceps surae. So there's like 3 different muscles, but I think it's the soleus where I'm feeling that pain. But I don't, like right now I'm standing, it's like right in here. So like I don't feel it there, but if I just fully relax the muscle and kind of stick my finger in there, it really hurts. So I'm not sure what that is, if that's like some little tear, if that's just some little whatever. I don't know, tear or like, what the hell is the word? Not stretch, but I'm blanking. What is the word? I don't know. I can't think of it. But it's something, and I'm aware of it. I don't feel it, but it concerns me because I'm like, am I just gonna like go out randomly and then all of a sudden it's gonna boom, my calf like tears in half or something? I don't know. So that is something I'm aware of, and I'm trying to be aware of, and just stretching. One of the things is really staying on top of stretching my calves with all the running, because if I don't, shin splints right away. So really trying to stay on top of stretching my calves every single day. In the gym, there's a nice little vertical or like ramp type thing that I always do it on. Try to do that every single time I'm in the gym, and just even in my kitchen, I'll pinch my heel on the wall and then lean into the counter. I just try to stretch my calves all the time because I'm running, which is a lot, and then even on the bike, you use your calves a lot more than you would think. And then when I'm at work, when I'm serving, I'm just standing on my calves and like just using them a lot there. And then when I'm just standing there like that too, my legs get kind of swollen. They're not really flushed out, and like when I come home at the end of the night, my legs feel like garbage. So I just really try to stay on top of stretching and all those things, and trying to flush my legs out and make sure I'm avoiding injury, because I want to not get injured. But okay, I just got back from the 14 miles. No fucking words. I have no words. The weather says it feels like 96 degrees. I mean, wow. I don't know if I'm just getting soft or if it's just getting that fucking hot, but oh my God, that was just like brutal. That was too much. That was too, my ears are like clogged right now. It's like, it was just too much. I'd say the first 7 miles, so half of the run, wasn't terrible. I tried to pick a route where I knew there were water fountains and I knew there were like kind of little splash pads that I could kind of jump into, or not even jump into, but just put my head in, even if the water was like warm. And that helped for the beginning of the run, because even like a couple miles in, I was lucky enough to where I'd get to the point where I was like, okay, there's a water fountain, let me stop, get water, wet my head. And that helped. And I was like, okay, I'm cooling off, this feels good. And then I'd start, and I'm like, all right, this isn't bad. And I kind of thought, I was like hoping like, okay, maybe the run will just kind of go like this, I'll peak, and then there'll be a water fountain, I can cool down for like a minute or two, and then run again. No, it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. It so bad. That was so bad. Oh, bad in the sense it was just hard. I think given the weather, I still ran the 14 miles. I averaged a 7:43 pace. But given the weather and the fact I ran outside, I think 10 miles would have been good. I think I could have pushed to 12 because when I had 2 miles left, I was like, these don't. At that point, I was like, I don't need to do these 2 miles. But one, I'm in a time crunch. I was like, okay, if I walk back, I won't have enough time to walk back, literally. And then two, I was like, well, am I just being soft at this point now? So I think my last mile was like an 8:30 or something, which is perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine, trying to keep my heart rate low. I don't even know what my average heart rate was. I didn't even look. But I just was basing it off feel. I was trying not to look at the watch because every time you look at the watch, you're looking at the distance and like, oh, I still have like 3 miles left. So I was just basing it off feel. But wow, that was brutal. Wednesdays are the hardest days of the week, I think, because I do the morning swim, which the swim is nice because you're in the water, so you're not really overheating. You get a little warm, but not bad. And then it's a long run after, but then I have to go into work at 4. So now it's 1:30. I have to start cooking at 2, latest 2:30. But I need to do the daily read. I need to at least get the daily read done. Ideally, I would get some editing in, but I don't know if I'll have time. But holy fuck. Holy crap. That was brutal. I wish I had a cold tub. That would be amazing right now, to be honest. There's like fountains in front of some hotels, and I'm like, I bet that water's cold. Like the urge to jump in it in front of a bunch of people is just so fucking high that I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do it, but I want to jump in so bad. Whew, but my apartment has my place has a hose. So right when I got back, I just drenched myself with the hose. Nothing like some hose water on a cold or on a hot day. Holy crap. Okay, I'm ending this clip now. That was brutal. It's Thursday. We have a 3-hour aerobic ride on the bike. I'm gonna do it on the indoor trainer because it's really hot. And honestly, I'm starting to like the indoor trainer more and more just because I can actually see what my power is. Because when you're on the bike, that's like what is really important is what is my power? You base a lot of things off feel, but I wanna know that number. 3 hours is a long time to sit here stationary. However, I do have my computer. Of course, so I'll watch some YouTube stuff or something, keep me a little bit occupied. But I was just thinking about it, I was like, man, I don't really feel like it. Which isn't fully true, but like I don't totally feel like it, but it's just an aerobic ride, so you're kind of just zone 2. I think like aerobic just means like energy through oxygen. So keeping the heart rate low, I'm not going crazy. So again, it's not bad, it's just a long time is really all it is. But yeah, I slept really good. So I got off of work last night and then I probably got to bed around 12:30-ish. Bed around 12:30-ish. And then my plan was to get up at 5 a.m. or like 6 a.m. And then I straight up just slept through everything again. And I've been kind of, when I first started doing this, kind of making this transition from my old job to this new job, and then schedules changing, staying up later, you need to get sleep and stuff like that. I was really beating myself up over it, and it just didn't help. It just made me feel worse going throughout the day. So like I'd come right now, I'd be like, "Oh, you fucking idiot! Why'd you sleep in? You should have got up earlier." Like being really aggressive with myself, which I think has its place and has its time. But not in a situation like that, especially when I can't like unsleep. You know what I mean? I can't change it and be like, and go back in time. Realistically, when I woke up, I got out of bed. I think I woke up around, I kind of woke up a couple times, but I woke up around 10:30. But then I had to still edit the Instagram reel, so then I just laid in bed and edited that. And then by the time I got out, it was probably like a little after 11, and then I just got back from the gym. It's 2:57 now, so just kind of whatever shit I did in between there. But just to kind of allowing that grace and really knowing that, well, one, I don't have to go to work today. Usually I do work Thursdays, but this one I don't, which is like nice, but it also kind of sucks because I'd like to make some money, but whatever. But just kind of allowing yourself that grace of like, okay, you need to get sleep. And then, like, I feel good having had slept. I'm about to eat really quick, and then we're going to hop on the bike. I'm trying to get on the bike as soon as possible, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but just kind of allowing yourself grace and not killing yourself over certain things. Just finding the balance between when to be aggressive with yourself and when not to be. And then, like I was saying, is I don't totally feel like sitting on the bike, but it's not like a crazy workout. It's just an aerobic ride. It's just a long time. But I know that, well, one, I can do it. It's not going to be crazy. And then two, I'm going to be better after it. And that's what really makes me excited, is like, I'm going to be better. And then I think about like the marathon, which I've mentioned before, like, it just makes me excited. So kind of thinking about that stuff. And then also it's like, that's the real for tomorrow. Because if I don't do the workout, I got nothing to post. So that's another little motivator too, which is kind of nice. But yeah, not that I'd skip it anyways. All right, we are an hour and a half, hour and 38 minutes in on the bike. We have an hour and 20 about left to go. So 3 hours. I've already talked about it, so you knew it was 3 hours. So we are, just trying to keep the power between 180 watts and 200. I don't know. It's more just, the hardest part right now is it's just boring. So there's that. But I just have water. I have 2 of these bottles and I put electrolytes, some electrolytes and salt and water. I ran through both of those. And I have my blender bottle with water. I drank that. So I refilled the blender bottle and I refilled one of the bottles. I had a little bit of salt, and then probably end up refilling a bottle one more time. But when I'm doing that, I'm just trying to move quick. But it's not a big deal. But yeah, just trying to I don't know. These are like sessions where it's like, they're not hard, it's just boring, but there's purpose behind it. Building endurance, improving your heart, making your body more efficient. And that's the cool thing about all this, is like, I mentioned it in last week's video, but last week's video was 2 hours long, so I haven't looked at it, but I imagine not many people watched that. Not that I expect anyone to sit there watch a 2 hour long video of me. But I mentioned, like, one of the cool things about this is it feels like you are making your body more efficient, more like a race car, nimble, fast, quick, sharp. And I think that's one of the things that really appeals to me about all this endurance stuff. So that's cool. I don't have much to say, to be honest. Had a pound of beef and rice right before I got on the bike. But I hadn't eaten all day because I woke in. I slept in. I already talked about that. But then I went to the gym and I hadn't had any true meal yet. So since I'm just on the bike, I was like, I'll just eat a big meal. And honestly, I wasn't even starving, but like I was hungry, and then again, not having eaten all day, it didn't really leave me feeling very full. Just because my body needed it. So if I wasn't super hungry and I did eat it, like there are times I'm more full than I was today, simply because I'd eaten before or whatever. So I kind of knew that as well. But another thing, I just wanted to kind of test it. I was like, how do I feel going onto the bike right after eating a big meal? I feel fine, so that's cool. I don't have any like G1M or anything for this ride. I just don't have any, period. But I shouldn't necessarily need much of it anyways. Because with the aerobic ride, it's like energy through oxygen. So my thoughts are like, my body kind of using what it already has. Obviously I've eaten throughout the day, or like carbs and stuff throughout the day, so my body will use that, but it's also good to kind of, not every session, but in my head it's like kind of good to sometimes train without it, strategically though. But because like say you're on a race, like my last marathon where I drop a gel, and that sounds minuscule, but that was one of the big enders to my race. Now the main one was me starting out too fast, but that gel played a big role actually. But kind of getting my body used to digging deeper, they'll say like fat adapted. So you're using fat as energy and not carbs necessarily. So I don't know, just kind of a thought. So me not using carbs does have there was intention, there was thought behind it, as opposed to me just saying like, oh no, I don't want to. So that's the thing, just being intentional with what you're doing. All right, well, got another hour and 20 on this bitch, so I'm gonna get it done. 3 hours on the bike, done. That was my longest indoor ride. It wasn't like, in terms of like a ride, it was just like an easy, consistent ride. I averaged 196 watts the whole time. My goal was to keep it between 180 and 200. And so we did exactly that. It was pretty boring. You can only watch so much YouTube before the YouTube gets boring, and then you're like, that's why it's like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, we got it done. Longest indoor ride. Hopefully we got better. Hopefully we'll absorb that. I think I should. I think I will. So yeah, I will. Tomorrow is Friday. We just have a swim. I think it's like 3,000 yards or something like that. But yeah, or 3,000 meters. So I think that's like 3,200 yards. So yeah, gonna get gonna do those things. Hello. It's Friday, July 1st. Had a 3,200 yard swim today. And then we had legs this morning, 100 pull-ups. You know the drill. Right now, so I'm eating, I've got 5 eggs, beef, rice, green beans, carrots, with some chicken bone broth and a little bit of ketchup. So that's what I'm eating right now. I started practicing flip turns in the pool, which honestly makes it really fun. And one of the things I was thinking about, I was like, it's probably really easy. Like, it's one of those things you look at, you're like, how the heck do they do that? But in my head, I was like, I've been thinking this. I'm like, it's probably really easy once you kind of figure it out. And then I'm also, when I was going in there, you're kind of like, oh, what if I hit my head on the bottom of the pool? At least in the shallow end. And then you're like, oh, what if I smack my heel on the edge of the pool? Or what if I just, whatever. So like your mind's kind of limiting you in the sense you're kind of scared a little bit. But I was like, stop being a pussy. Don't let your mind limit you. Just try it. You're going to say all these things in your head, but you haven't even tried it. So I started just trying it. And then obviously I'm not good at it. And so there were a few times I would do the flip and then completely just miss the wall. So then you kick and you just go nowhere. You're like, gasp for air. But I started to get it. But I think how it goes is you flip, push off the wall, then turn, as opposed to like flip and turn and then kick. I don't really know the order of everything, but in my head I'm thinking flip, kick, turn, in the sense of like turning, because when you flip, you're facing like head to the sky, but you have to turn to face back down. So I think it's that order. Regardless, it was fun. It was kind of fun to throw in there. I just threw it in there towards the end of the swim. But I've been starting to like swimming a lot more. I used to, like when I'd get to the parking lot and kind of in the locker room and throw on my little swimmies, I would be kind of dreading it. I'm like, oh man. But I'm starting to like it more and more, which has been exciting and makes it fun. I think part of it too is because it's just so freaking hot in Florida that you're in the water. So even when you get warm in the water, it's nothing like those 14 miles the other day. I'm like scarred from that. That was brutal. That was so hard. Just crazy hot. So yeah, but got a big old brick workout tomorrow. I'm kind of thinking same thing as last week in that I am going to, I'm going to try to just get up as early as possible. Again, even if I barely get any sleep. Part of me is just like, don't even go to bed. Because again, like I said last week, it's like, it's almost harder to wake back up after sleeping for 2 hours as opposed to have just never having gone to sleep. Now, obviously, is that ideal? No, absolutely not. But, and will I sleep? Yeah. But I really just want to try to get up, because this one is a 5-hour ride into a 6-mile run. So the beauty of this is I get redemption at last week's workout, that I did get 5 hours when it was supposed to be 4.5, but I got 5 hours. But then the run I blew up. I ran like 3.7 miles. I kept saying a little over 4. I guess I was a little confused there. But ran a little over 3 miles. So I think the biggest thing is more consistent with my fueling. I think that's the biggest thing I need to take into this workout for tomorrow. Speaking of fueling though, I have 0 G1M. Usually it would sit on that windowsill. That's why I turned the thing over there. 0 carb mix. I have like a couple gels. I ordered gels from Amazon. They're supposed to be here like 2 weeks ago. Still not here. So that's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna figure something out, but yeah. Alright, same day as that last clip. I'm eating again. Pound of beef, rice, and then it's like a coleslaw mix with like broccoli, cabbage, carrots. Usually don't eat broccoli because it kind of makes me a little bloated, but I think like this it should be fine. But yeah, I'm straight up not hungry because I just finished that meal that I just showed a minute ago. I think I showed it. Yeah, like an hour ago. So I just ate all that like an hour ago. Straight up not hungry, bro. But I'm about to go to work, and then I won't eat again until probably like 11 o'clock at night. So gotta get it down, gotta shove it down my face. I'm honestly really thirsty, but then that's another thing where it's like a lot of times I'm like, oh, I'm just really thirsty, but then that takes up room in my stomach. And then it's like, but I need to get this food down. So what takes priority? Water or even milk or something, or the food? I guess the food. But what I'll do is just bring my water bottle to work, and then, well, one, what's nice about that is I can have cold water because I have ice there. So I can just sip on cold water throughout the night, which is really nice. Very refreshing. Because again, the sink water, even when it's cold, it's always like room temp, which is not fun. So yeah, so that is what I'm doing right now. Yeah, time flew by, but we're gonna get up. We will fucking be up early tomorrow. You have my word. It's Saturday morning, so what we're supposed to have is a 5-hour ride into a 6-mile run. That being said, I just couldn't pull my ass out of bed this morning. No ifs, ands, buts about it. Couldn't do it. Maybe I was being a bitch. Maybe I was just that tired. But nonetheless, it's 12:30. I've been up since I think I got out of bed at 11, a little around 11. So what I'm gonna do, so I was still gonna do the bike workout, but I still needed to edit stuff in the reels and post all that crap. So now to where it's now 12:30. So if I drive out there and do all this stuff, I'm not gonna finish it till like freaking super freaking late. So then I was like, well, what am I doing tomorrow? I know tomorrow I just have a long run, 17 miles. I'm just gonna swap the days. So I did kind of start getting everything ready and out, but I don't have any carb mix or anything, so then I was gonna have to go to the store and get all that stuff, and then it just was gonna push the time back further and further and further to where I'm gonna be finishing this thing at way too late at night. So what I'm gonna do is, I just kind of ate some food, so I'm gonna need to let this digest for a minute, but I'm gonna run the 17 miles today. I'll go to the gym, I'll have the time to go to the gym, do my pull-ups, which I'm looking forward to. These Saturday nights when I can still make it to the gym and then finish at night, like I don't know, I just kind of like that vibe. But I'll be able to do that. And then for tomorrow, Sunday, I don't work tonight. So I can actually get to bed at a reasonable time and wake up early. Like I'm thinking 4 a.m. early, get there as early as possible, start on this bike. and then I can do the actual workout. I can either go to the store tonight. I should probably go to the store tonight. Get some sort of carb shit I can drink during the bike. And yeah, so that's the new plan. That makes me feel better. This morning too, it was like, you know, you wake up multiple times throughout the morning. That's what kept happening, but I could feel the weight of just like, I'm exhausted, but I know I need to get this workout in, but it's a massive workout. And then it just couldn't, you almost feel like paralyzed a little bit. You're like, I can't move. And in those moments, that's when you have to really break things down. So what I did last night was I had an energy drink, and a Cliff Bar sitting on my desk, and I was like, okay, when that alarm goes off in the morning, you can just sit up in bed, eat and drink that. You don't have to do anything, just do that, slowly get awake. I couldn't even do that, but I had to break it down even further, but I don't know how much further I could have broke it down because my ass couldn't get out of bed. So whatever, but that's the plan. And honestly, moving forward, I'm wondering if that's just always going to be the plan, because with work, again, I'm not going to get off at a reasonable time on a Friday night ever. So I'm just kind of wondering if maybe that's what I should do now. Just swap these days to where Saturday's this long run, Sunday's the big old brick workout. Good morning, YouTube. Time is 5:33. So getting ready for this brick workout. I've got everything ready. 120 grams of carbs per bottle. I have 3 bottles. It's a 5-hour ride. I'm also going to bring some gels, so each bottle will last me an hour and a half. And then by the time I get to the last 30 minutes, I should theoretically be out of bottles. But I'll still have gels, and I'll still mix some gels in between that ride. And I'll probably stop at a gas station for water. I'm going to have to, because I know I'm going to be dying of thirst. I wish I could I have a gallon of water that I'll bring with me. I wish I could figure out how to bring it with me on the bike, but just can't. So I'm gonna pack everything up and then get on the road, bitch. Okay, hello. This is like the 4th time I've tried to make this little review clip, whatever. First time was way too aggressive. Felt good for me, but not something I needed to post on YouTube. And then the other ones were alright, and then the camera died. Whatever. So now it's nighttime. It's like 9 something. Whoo, day of the brick workout. It's Sunday night. I'm kind of mind F because usually I do these brick workouts on Saturday, so I keep thinking it's Saturday, but it's Sunday. So tomorrow's Monday. Woo. But yeah, so just a quick review. One, this video is not going up Sunday, obviously. I'll try to get it up Monday. If not Monday, then Tuesday. But yeah, so 5 hours on the bike, 104 miles, 6-mile run. Basically, like, looking back on it, I think that was a good workout. Subtract the heat. I just think the heat's so aggressive and you're out there for so long, for hours on end. It just compounds. It just builds. I was talking to a dude, I'll get to this, but I was talking to a dude who has a thing on his bike. He said at one point it's up to 104 degrees out there. And again, that just compounds, and you're doing that for hours on end. It's just crazy. The heat's just crazy. So starting off, 2.5 hours out, put you halfway, turn around. That's 5 hours. So for the first half of the ride, I felt really solid. I was able to attack all the hills, and then coming over top, I felt like I recovered really fast, which even I think about last week's workout, some of those hills I was hitting, I was like, they're kicking my ass last week. Now I will say part of that was I was able to start this ride when it was still dark outside, so that helped in terms of the heat, and that's because I didn't work. So I think I'll probably do this setup just every weekend going forward, because now I can get a good night's, quote unquote, good night's rest. Just get to bed at a reasonable time Saturday night, so I can wake up early, 4 a.m. on Sunday, and start these darn rides, because they're so freaking long, while it's still a little bit dark out and there's not all heat. So I do think that that's probably one of the biggest reasons as to why the first half felt really good, and then turning around, it still felt pretty solid. I think around halfway I was feeling So I had 120 grams of carbs in each of my 3 bottles. So that was over 5 hours though. So not 120 grams of carbs per hour. I did bring 5 gels with me. Each had 20 to 24 grams of carbs in each little gel. But so yeah, so approaching halfway, I was kind of feeling like nauseous. I kind of thought I was like I might throw up. And my thoughts are, what I used for the quote unquote fuel was apple juice, maple syrup, salt for some sodium, and then the rest of the bottle had water, which was a very small amount to try to dilute it, but it was still very sweet, as you could imagine. So I think that was one of the biggest reasons why I was feeling a little nauseous. I was like, this is just so sweet. And then again, you get really thirsty when you're out there, which this time didn't feel that bad in terms of my thirst. And I think again, that's just because starting out when it was still dark outside, probably for the first like 30 to probably the first 30 minutes. So it's not that much time. We're still pretty dark. The sun was just starting to rise. But then halfway, I stopped at a gas station. It had 2 liters of nice cold water. So I just kind of sipped on that. Probably stayed there for like 10 to 15 minutes. And I felt better after that. I also put a little bit on my head, which kind of cooled me off a bit. So I think it was a culmination of that. I also was thinking, I was like, I wonder if the water is just kind of helping flush my stomach out a little bit and just spread this stuff throughout my body. Because one of these things is like, I'm kind of intaking so much gels and just like all these carb stuff that it's just something I'm not used to, and I don't love the way that makes me feel personally. But you kind of don't really have much of an other option. But I am thinking, I wonder if getting some sort of unflavored powder would be useful. I haven't had like a G1M or carb mix in a while. It's probably like 2 weeks now. So that's what I said, I've been using apple juice and maple syrup. Because carbs are carbs, I guess. And that G1M stuff, that stuff adds up. They make cheaper powders, and that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. I think one of them is unflavored. So that might help in terms of just the flavor fatigue. Because then the bottles get hot too. I had cold. They were cold in the morning, but even starting off in the morning, like 30 minutes to an hour into the ride, that first bottle's like, it's pretty warm. And then by the time you get to the second, third bottle, it's damn near hot. So yeah, so then halfway, stopped, turned around, did all that good stuff. And then I'd say I slowly just started to feel the fatigue, mainly the heat. I think I did really well with my carbs, because one of the things I just look at visually is, are my veins popping a little bit? Veins popping? And they were the entire ride actually. So like in my forearms and my bicep vein and my hands, like as I'm riding, I can just see that. I'm like, all right, that's a good sign. Because usually, sometimes, like if I'm feeling flat, which that's a result of being flat, like you don't see your veins, your muscles are flabby. Like there's nothing really to them. So that was good. I had that the entire ride, and then towards the end, my legs were just I would say my quads were just super fatigued. So I think, one, that's only my second time going 100 miles, and then 2, again, just that heat. And I sweat. I had a really solid sweat going for probably just past halfway of the ride, a little over halfway of the ride, and then, which normally that's fine, but then I was kind of worried because I was like, oh, I did put some salt in the bottles, but usually I'll put some electrolytes in there too. I straight up forgot. So then I was like, oh, hopefully this won't be bad. But yeah, my quads and my calves started to cramp really bad on the bike in the last like hour. And then again, the last hour I started to fall off. And I would say the last like 15 to 10 miles were pretty trash. I was just trying to get them done. I was like, just keep pedaling, just keep pedaling. Because it was 5.5 hours that took me, but it's not because I went far, it's because at the end I fell off. Because last week I did 5 hours and I did like 5 hours and 8 minutes, and I had like 100 miles or something. This week was 104 miles at 5 hours and 30 minutes. Shouldn't have took me that long, but well, one, it's just like it doesn't really matter, but the time stepped up there just because of the fact I fell off at the end. But at the end, I was like, you just get them done. So I got off the bike. Quads were cramping. My body was it was hard to put my running shoes on because you're cramping. So then like your hamstring cramps or your like ab will cramp, or you'll get like a fucking calf or wherever, your feet cramp. So that was starting to get worse then. At one point on the bike towards the end, my whole quad cramped up, but then I started pedaling really hard, but it didn't necessarily like I didn't feel the burn from the pedal. It hurt because of the cramp, but my quad wasn't burning. I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. I was like, maybe I'm just being a baby. But again, I think the biggest thing was just the heat and then dehydration leading to the cramps. I think too, overuse a little bit of my quads probably. But again, I really just attribute that a lot to the heat. And then going into the run, I felt good in the run. Like I know my quads were pretty tired from the bike, but that didn't really, like my legs didn't feel super fatigued during the run. The hardest part was just cramping and then the heat. So the cramps weren't, like as I was running, I can feel my quads kind of cramping, but it wasn't bad until I stopped running. And I kind of remembered that from my marathon. That was when I had like really, really bad cramps. But I remember like when I stopped running, that was when my cramps got really bad. And then for the marathon, I was like, I couldn't even, yeah, that's a whole nother story. But this one, like I could wait a minute and they would go away. Like I start running again and then they would come back, but then kind of just run with them a little bit. It wasn't like terrible. But the heat really builds on you because there's no shade on that trail. So luckily, there is like one little turnoff on that trail where there's like a fence into this neighborhood. And I was like, well, let me run through there because I know the trail has no shade and I know I'm not going to go far enough to get to any type of water. So I was like, maybe there'll be shade in there. Maybe there'll be a water fountain. Who knows? So I was like, let me just go through here. So was there shade? No, absolutely not. What would you expect in Florida? Million gosh darn degrees, no shade. I have beef with that trail because there's one water fountain 3 miles into the trail. Other than that, it's a 50-mile trail, not a single water fountain. It's brutal. It's Florida. They have this whole nicely paved trail, not a single one. Other than that one 3 miles in. Put one halfway at least. Rant over. But I turned into that neighborhood. There was no shade. However, I did find a little pocket park. Well, one, I saw this big pool with all these people in it, and I was like, well, I'm fucking jealous. I'm fucking jealous right now. But then two, I ran past this little pocket park with like a basketball court, and then I had a dog park. But within that dog park, I saw a big shiny stainless steel object, and I was like, that's a dog wash station. And you know what that means? Water. So I beelined it over there. Well, first I saw the basketball courts, and I was like, there's gotta be a water fountain over there. Well, there wasn't. But that's when, again, I saw the dog wash station. I was like, hey, that's water, baby. So I went over there. I checked it out, cramping like crazy, because that was when I stopped running for the first time. That was like a little over a mile in. And then, yeah, this is basically just a hose. So I was basically showering there, and then drinking that water. Trying not to drink too much, though, because it always messes with your stomach. And then I was just going to keep going, but then I was like, let me just stick near this bad boy because it's so hot. It just, because there's no shade. At that point, it's like 3 in the afternoon, so the sun's at like its hottest. And I was like, let me just stick around here. And then, so basically I would do it was like this perfect mile loop. It actually worked out really well. So I'd run this mile loop, pause it, spray myself off, run the loop. And then my hair would be soaked. And then by the time I got back from the mile, my hair was like basically dry like this, which was wild. That's how fucking hot it was. My hair's like, I mean, it's long. So how long hair doesn't necessarily dry super quick, but it would be like dry by the time I got back from that 1 mile. So yeah, so that's what I did. So I basically just did 6 mile intervals. But without that water, I wouldn't have finished that run. Which that was why I turned into the neighborhood. Because I was like, if I'm going straight out and it's hot like this, I wasn't even a mile in when I turned into that neighborhood. But I was like, I don't know if I'm able to finish this bitch. Because again, when I was cramping like that, I was kind of scared. Like I was nervous because I still have to drive home. It's just me. I had to go to the grocery store. Like I still have to function as a human being. I can't just like, I mean, this is my fault, but I don't have someone to just drive me home or to do my laundry and my groceries and all that stuff. Like I'm like, well, I still have to do that shit. So that did worry me. I'm not gonna lie. And then like, I'm like, what if I get a cramp when I'm driving and just slam on my brakes or some shit on the highway? I don't fucking know. Just something stupid. So that was concerning. I'm not gonna lie, but yes, that dog fountain, that dog wash station was a godsend. That was the only reason I finished that run. Also, the run was just awful. I was running like 8, almost running 9-minute miles by the end of it. But my heart rate was at like high 150s. That's how hot it was. And then just coming off of everything, like, yeah, it was just rough. But the fact of the matter is we got it done. Sloppy as it was, we got it done. And now it's just up from here. But realistically, like, had that heat not been there, that would have been I think that would have been a good workout. Because again, going into the run, I was like, I don't feel like my legs are dead or anything. And then I was like, it's just really hot. I don't know if I'm just a baby, but it's really freaking hot. It's like too much for me to handle. Yeah, it's really frustrating. It's been frustrating me a lot lately. And then the first initial clip I made was like right when I got back, because then I got there at 6:30. I started riding probably around 6:40. I didn't get home till 6 in the afternoon. I'm like, how the freaking heck does the time just fly like that? Because then the day's over and I still have to I'm not doing 100 pull-ups today, but the YouTube video is obviously not going up, but edit the reel. I still had to post a reel. I have to do the daily doodle. I think I already said that. I don't even freaking know. My brain's pretty dead right now. Also, I'm really full because I've just been trying to eat all day. It's kind of why I'm like breathing heavy. But yeah, I was really frustrated coming back because then, like, I'm doing all this stuff sometimes, and I'm like, why? It's basically just calling myself, for lack of better words, or for not using the words I was saying, I was just calling myself stupid. So I was like, why are you doing this? I was like, I think you're stupid. Because like I'm doing all this and then there's really nothing like, I've talked about this before, but it's like I'm throwing myself into all these situations and then I'm like, are you stupid? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I know my whys, and that's what pulls you out of these holes, but I'm like, I think you're stupid. And that's basically what I was telling myself, because I was like, there's just not, you're just like making these weird videos, and then there's nothing to, nothing's happening, you know? There's like, I don't know. Like, things are happening, but like nothing's happening. So I don't know, because it's just life. With all these things, something. Another thing is like Florida. Why am I here? And then I have what was just crawling on my leg right there was like a little cockroach. A little mini one. They're all over the fucking place. Like, why am I living here? Like, what am I doing here? So there's all these things, and that's why I'm like, dude, you're stupid. Like, there's nothing to show for anything, and you're just doing all this shit, and then like. So that was kind of the root of my frustration earlier, and that's why, there's no need to post that clip. it was good for me, but not for you too. I already said that. But yeah. And then I met that dude when I was riding on the bike. He caught up to me. Well, I had passed him, and then he caught up to me after I had like stopped somewhere. And I kind of saw him off in the distance, but I was like, he's probably gonna catch up to me. So I was talking to that dude for a little bit. He was cool, like an older guy. But he had a computer on his bike or whatever, so he could see his power and everything. So I was kind of asking him questions about that. But then he was saying on his temperature thing, it has a temperature gauge on there. And he was like, yeah, it was up to 104. At the time we were talking, it was like 95, I think he said, or 96. But he was like, yeah, out there it was 104. I was like, oh, nice. I don't know. I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, I don't even feel like I'd want to see that. Because seeing like 104 degrees would just like piss me off. Or it would give me an excuse to try less or something. But yeah, no, he was a good guy. And then I was riding with him, which was actually kind of nice. Because it's motivating to be around other people like that. And then, so I was riding with him, but then my freaking bottle fell off. And then I wasn't gonna, like my bottle fell, and I was like, ah, shit. And I wasn't gonna be like, hey, my bottle fell. I just stopped, and then didn't see the guy ever again. Can't blame him. But yeah, so for like the few miles, that was kind of fun. But yeah, we're back. I still need to do the daily doodle, and then I'm just gonna try to get to bed. But yeah, another week down. I don't know what even week this is, but we're going into another week, and then I think the following, obviously we're going into another week. But so this week, and then I think the following week is a deload week again, or just a smaller week, deload week. So that'll be nice. Part of the reason too, it's like when I'm feeling frustrated and just not even overwhelmed, just frustrated or on edge, I think that's a sign. Like, what's my body? What's my body trying to tell me? Probably that I'm doing too much. So there's that. But yeah, I think a lot of that ties back into the heat. The heat's just really bothering me lately, I'm not gonna lie. Because it's been stressing me out, because then I'm like, when am I gonna be able to do these workouts? And then certain days, it's like Wednesdays lend themselves as very hard days, because I'm at the gym in the morning, and then I have a big swim, and then I have a big run, and then I go right into work at 4. And now that it's getting really hot, it's like, it's hard to do it. And I don't really want to run and then swim, because I feel like I won't have any energy to swim. And swimming is, again, where I really need practice. Do I need to be taking all this as seriously as I do? Probably not. I'm not that good. But I take it so seriously because I'm trying to like do something with this stuff. Like, I just want to do something with my fucking life that's not sitting behind a desk. So it's kind of why I take it so serious. But I don't know. But yeah, this week is over. I'm really tired. I'm like tired, but I'm not. I have a sneaking suspicion I might not sleep too well tonight, which isn't exciting, but we'll see. I won't want to jinx it. Knock down wood. But yeah, anyways, I'm rambling now. So, great week. Start of another week tomorrow.